Welcome back to the Perrick Project. I'm Gila Ross, host of the Power Up podcast. And in just a few minutes, we're going to look at some timeless wisdom related to giving and not being a doormat. Many years ago, I was giving a class on relationships and giving, and a sentiment came up that has since been shared with me many times. In fact, it's a sentiment that I myself have felt. On the one hand, we all want to give. We want to be givers. But on the other hand, no one wants to feel like a doormat, feel like they are taken advantage of. So what is the correct balance? How do we balance these two? So the Mishnah talks about 4 different character types. And what's interesting is that what we see here is that one's attitude towards giving is a mark of our person's character. In fact, we're told, Rav Dessa says, that there are 2 different types of people in the world. There are people that are givers and there are people that are takers. In fact, we all come into this world as takers. A baby is a taker, and our job, one of our big jobs in our lifetime, is to become givers. So what are these 4 different character traits, and which one is the one that we should strive for? So the first one is a person who says, what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. And the Mishnah calls such a person an average person. That person doesn't want to take pleasure from someone else, and he doesn't want to give pleasure to anyone else. He's, in the words of the famous phrase, he's neither a borrower nor a lender be. He's neither a giver nor a taker. The Mishnah calls him, on the one hand, an average person, but it then goes on to say that some say this is the attitude of Sodom. What do they mean by that? It's talking about the famous city of Sodom. And there they were so incredibly selfish that they put into laws against giving to other people, even though that it was an incredibly wealthy city and they had plenty to spare. They didn't want to give to other people, and they knew that this was going to cause others not to give to them, but they didn't care. Interestingly, what the Mishnah says here, when it talks about the individual, it says for an individual, they may be forgiven their lack of sensitivity, their lack of wanting to give towards others. But then it says that some say, and it talks about the plural, and what the Mishnah is saying here, what's pointing out here, is that when this sort of attitude of what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours becomes prevalent in society, then it becomes cruelty. Why? Because as long as it's in an individual, there will be other individuals that will step up. But when it becomes a societal thing, that's when it becomes cruel, because the poor will become neglected. That's one. There's a second type of attitude, a second type of mindset, which is where the person says, what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. Now, on the face value, this sounds like such a benevolent attitude. They want to share, they want to promote goodwill, they want to promote harmony. But what does the Mishnah call such a person? It calls them an unlearned person. Why? Because even though it sounds so giving, so harmonious, the person has no appreciation for private property. And this is a prime example of how ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance leads to lawlessness. And interestingly enough, we see this nowadays as well. You see sometimes people that they'll walk into a public place with no mask on. Why? Because they're ignorant. They don't bother to teach themselves what the correct rules are, what the correct way of staying safe is, and as a result, their ignorance may feel like bliss, but it's endangering them and others. So this is a perfect example of how an unlearned person may have good intentions but may lead to lawlessness as a result of it. Then there's a third attitude, and this is the attitude of a person who says, what's mine is yours and what's yours is yours. Now, this is a person who the Mishnah calls a pious person. This person is going above and beyond the letter of the law. You're allowed to benefit from others, and you're not obligated to give everything to others, but this person who goes above and beyond, they want others to benefit freely from themselves, and they don't expect anything in return. The caveat here is that a person is only allowed to do it up to 1/5 of their belongings. They're allowed to give away up to 1/5, but no more than that, because they can't become poor as a result of it. And then there is a fourth attitude, and what this person, their attitude is, they say what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine. And this sort of person is a wicked person. They are only concerned with what they can take from life, not what they can give to others from life. So what we see here from these 4 different mindsets is that the ideal mindset a person should have is one of giving and not expecting in return. And of course, a person has to protect themselves and not give more than 1/5 of what they have, so that they themselves don't become impoverished. But precious is the person that gives and doesn't expect anything in return. Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please get in touch. You can contact me on Instagram at Gila Ross. And if you enjoy this podcast, please share it with a friend. Thank you again for spending your time listening today.